So, as Paul said in his question, and linked to what I was saying, The Wizard, on the documentary High Score, and they show a lot about sort of the competitive side and the tournaments and things like that. But in The Wizard as well, you do have the girl ringing up before the tournament, ringing the helpline and saying, "Oh, I've got this game, Zelda, blah blah blah. I'm stuck at this bit. Where do you do it?" And there's a guy in his cubicle with a binder, and he's looking up all the stuff and things like that, which I find amazing. Paul, did you use
Yeah,
such
yeah.
services?
I remember using them, and I remember the adverts being in the magazines because I used to buy the magazines. Because I started gaming from the Atari 2600, so I'm back in the first kind of console and arcade machines and whatever. And by the time it got to, I think, NES and the Amiga I had, those were the ones that had some of the tougher games. And you'd phone up and say, "How do I do this?" And they'd tell you. And yeah, I remember using it. I don't remember there being big phone bills or anything to do that. My parents telling me that I'd cost them a fortune, but no. Yeah, I remember doing it. I remember the adverts being there clearly, and it actually had the pictures of like 4 guys or something, and it'd be like Paul and Matt and James or whatever to say, "Call us on this number and we'll help you on this game and stuff." So yeah, I do remember that.
And when you rang them up, I mean, I don't ever recall calling any of these numbers up to get help. And me and Mark are the same age, so maybe I just wasn't into gaming as much as Mark was. But what would they literally talk you through how to get past that level?
From what I remember, I mean, it's a long time ago. I'm old now, so grey hairs have settled in. I don't have the memory, but I remember phoning up and the nicest people, like literally as we are now, just talking to a kid and saying, this is where you're going to go. Did you get to this bit? Yeah, right. Okay, from there, do you see this? Yeah. Okay, pause the game and jump up onto there. You'll find this little secret. Go to there and all that kind of stuff. And there wasn't the internet back in my day, so it was literally magazines or that phone number. And the magazines would also have the cheats and I think there was a thing called Game Genie and all those kind of things.
Game Genie,
type in and get all the codes and cheat. So yeah, it was something that I definitely used. Don't remember how many times, but I remember phoning it. Yeah.
So I'm the same. I never got. Sorry, I'm not saying. I was going to say I'm the same with you, James. I never called any of these things up. I remember buying the magazines and them having sort of tips and tricks and stuff like that, and those sort of things. Or I guess sort of more word of mouth. That people would say, "Oh, if you do, if you do this at this point on." Like in Mario, the one that sort of sticks in my head, Mario, when you run along that first level in first Super Mario Bros., and you jump up and you go outside the screen, and like those sort of things that were always sort of circulated around, but never called a hotline. I remember in that era, or probably the era that started me off with gaming was I played a bit of sort of PC game, but the one sort of really into the NES is probably like. What started? I remember Turtles on the NES was
that was awesome.
Brutal.
That was one of my difficult games. That was the one that used to
as so a kid, unforgiving, wasn't it?
Yeah. Used to pull my hair out of that one. I think I only got to the final level maybe once in my entire life of playing NES, and that was a long time. So the Technodrome at the end.
I just remember you'd be doing all right, and then you'd have to get to that bit where you'd have to come out in the sewer, and then you get like run over or something like that. And that's
with the electricity, and I just remember all that being an absolute nightmare. So
I can't remember what I was watching. I think it might have been the High Score documentary, and I saw there was a picture of the swimming level of turtles. I was just like, oh god,
start shaking. What would you say, Matt, was your, because I think Mark asked what was one of the toughest games you've ever played?
I think the one that sticks in memory, and it's a recent game, Cuphead. I remember the first I wanted Cuphead for months before that game came out, and got it.
The visuals on that is I know get you
stunning, being an artist. Isn't it? But it was God. I remember playing, but it was so harsh. Like the bosses and stuff were just so harsh, but I loved it because it took me back to when games you had to learn the habits of that particular character. Yeah. And I think with a lot of, without sounding like a complete old man, a lot of games now it holds your hand to a certain degree through the thing. And it's, oh, you have to do that, you have to do that. And the boys, my two sons, get so frustrated with older games because they don't do that. And oh, why can't I do it? Why can't I do it? Like,
My girls are the same.
You got to learn it. You got to think, look what he's doing there. He's doing this. So you have to wait for him to do that. And then you can shoot him or whatever. And it really sort of harked back to that, which I loved, and I'm one of the people that I won't give up, and I will sit there and I will hate the game so much, but I will just do it again and again and again and again and again until you've got that one moment where it all falls into place. Yeah, definitely Cuphead.
Yeah. Mine would be from the PlayStation 1, Metal Gear Solid, because I just remember such an amazing game. But just that noise of Solid Snake every time you get killed, I think it was like it was like some sort of like he's dying in pain, and just memories of that noise. And I don't think I ever cheated on it, but I do remember probably Mark actually helping me get past certain levels if I was struggling with it. But another thing that Mark mentioned there about, I remember getting like guides for games. You used to be able to buy like A4 paper guides for different games, and I remember I definitely had one for a game like that. It might have been Splinter Cell or something like that, but also I remember having one for a wrestling game where it told you how to do every single move basically, and if you needed to know how to do a finisher or whatever, because there were certain ones that you just didn't have a clue, you might have had to get them into a certain turnbuckle or whatever. But yeah, they used to be pretty helpful. But I don't think I've ever, can't remember any cheating going on. But in fact, there was actually a cheat. I can't even remember what game it was for, but I just remember the combination was up, down, left, right, A, start at the same time. But I couldn't tell you what game it was for. That just always sticks in my mind for some reason.
I don't know.
So if anyone's listening and knows what game that was for, I would like to play it again. And do
with
that
the cheat.
with the cheat. Yeah.
I remember on Metal Gear Solid, I never really played it, but I had a mate who had it. Shout out to Phil. And he, I remember watching him play it, and the hardest part of that game for me was the cutscenes, because they're about 3 hours long each cutscene. You'd finish a level and then, oh my God, they're still talking. I just don't want to know anymore.
Weren't they unskippable as well? Weren't they unskippable on the first one or something? You couldn't skip them. Yeah, so.
That's it. So you literally...
These days, I'm just like skip. I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
Paul, what was your hardest?
I think, having tried to think about it, Turtles, on the NES, but I think it was the SNES, and I think it was the PC as well, was Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts. That drove me bonkers. I played that a lot. I think it was called Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the SNES, and before that it was Ghosts and Goblins or something like that, Ghouls and Ghosts. And that's where you're the little knight with the lance, and you change weapons and stuff, and you end up being naked because you're not. I was
going to say, that's what I loved about that game. He lost his armor.
Yeah, he just had his little kind of cloth pants on and stuff, and that drove me bonkers. I've even played that recently, and still I don't think I can get off the first level. As soon as I get to the kind of, there's a platform bit at the end, there's fire plants or something, I can't do it. Any other game like Mario games or whatever, fine. And I've played recently. I tried to, the mini SNES that you can buy. Well, I'd put other games on it. You can add games to it.
Yeah.
And I'd put the Mario 1, 2, 3. So my youngest wanted to play something with me. So I said, let's try Super Mario 3 because you can do it alternate, Mario and Luigi. And she did not like it. She couldn't do the platforming on it. So I'm like, no, all you do is this. Can't do it. On Super Mario 3, you can run. You get the not the raccoon.
Raccoon hats in.
Yeah, it's called Tanuki hat or something, whatever it's called. And you can fly and stuff, and then, all that stuff. She didn't want to do it. She just fed up, put controller down, left. But they're both amazing at games. I've got a 17-year-old who plays games all the time, and I've got a 13-year-old now, both girls, but they play games. And they just don't like the old games. If I try to get them to play any of the retro games, they won't play them. But